is a complex issue with multi-faced definition and impacts. Here's a breakdown of the concept and its key types. So let us understand the definition of poverty first. At its core, poverty signifies a state of deprivation where individuals or households lack the essential resources to meet their basic needs. It simply means poverty means a person is not having the basic needs, is unable to meet the basic requirements like food, clothing, shelter, education, basic medical facilities, clean water, and all. This comes in poverty. Let us move forward. Okay. So, as I already said, at its core, poverty. Poverty is nothing but it signifies a state of deprivation where individuals or households lack the essential resources to meet their basic needs. Okay, so maybe let me explain with the example food, access to sufficient nutritious food for survival and well being. They are not having proper access to sufficient food. Maybe the quality, the quantity of the food they are having is not enough, or maybe is not nutritious for their survival. Shelter, adequate and safe housing that provide protection from the elements. Maybe they are not having proper and safe house to live in. Clothing, appropriate attire for different weather condition and social context. For example, now during cold everybody needs a sweater to keep, or any woolen clothes to keep themselves warm. Even some people, they cannot afford to purchase it. Education, opportunities to acquire knowledge and skills for personal and professional development. Now, it is considered that even if a person cannot get educated because of poverty, is considered as a uh, biggest backward thing of a human being. Then healthcare, basic requirement of a person is that every person should be able to access to the medical care for prevention, for diagnosis and treatment of illness. We might have heard that in the olden days there were many child infant death rate was high in the olden days. Why? Because at home the ladies used to get delivered, they used to deliver their babies in home. Hospitals slowly started coming into the picture. And what happened, they were not hygiene, they didn't know what are the procedure, or they didn't know how to sanitize themselves after pregnancy or before delivery or after delivery. So there may be chances of infection, or proper care was not taken. That is why the mother and the baby died, or maybe only the infant was dead. But later on, what happened? Due to the help of hospitals, slowly, women started going to the hospitals for their delivery purposes, and they started being safe. Clean water and sanitation. Till now, we are in 2025. Till now, there are many places where the water, that is clean water for drinking, is not available in many rural parts of our country, and there is no proper sanitation facilities also. Okay, now let us understand the types of poverty. What are types of poverty? Absolute poverty and relative poverty. Okay, so what is absolute poverty? Absolute poverty means it is most severe form of poverty where individuals lack the bare minimum resources for survival. Means they are absolutely poor. Even the minimum resources for their livelihood is also not possible. Characteristics: people living in absolute poverty often struggle to meet their immediate needs for food, shelter, and basic health care. They may experience hunger, malnutrition, homelessness, and vulnerability to disease. The best example will be a family living on the streets without access to clean water or adequate food. Second one is relative poverty. Relative poverty focuses on the disparities within a society. Individuals are considered relatively poor if they are income and living standards fall significantly below the average for their community or country. So it is somewhere where their livelihood is falling down. In such case, we can say that it is relative poverty. Characteristics: while individuals in relative poverty may have their basic needs met, they experience social and economic disadvantage compared to others in the society. This can include limited access to quality education, employment, opportunity, and social services. Let me explain with an example. A family living in a developed country but struggling to afford housing, healthcare, and a decent standard of living due to low income. So, because of low income, a family living in a very good developed country, they cannot, what they cannot do, they cannot afford housing, healthcare, and a decent standard of living due to low income. Maybe a developed country like Japan or something, what they do, there are many people who are still struggling for their normal housing also. Let us move forward. Okay. India is home to 129 million extremely poor people. World Bank 2024 report. As per the 2024 World Bank report, India is having around 129 million extremely poor people. It has published in its report, these people live on less than rupees 180 a day. The number of extremely poor people in India has, however, fallen from 431 million in 1990. It added. So, what happened in the year 1990? It was around 431 million, which is fallen down to 129 million in 2024. Now, let us understand the causes of poverty in India. The causes of poverty in India include inequality, lack of education and skills, unemployment and underemployment, social exclusion, and lastly, natural disasters. Now, what is inequality? Inequality is a case wherein a significant portion of India's wealth is concentrated in the hands of a small elite leaving a vast majority with limited resources. Means, as we have studied in the story of village Palampur, what happened? The people who are owning land, the landlords, they were wealthy. And what about the people who are not having land? They were working. They were working as laborers in the people in the landlord's farm, or else they were going for work in other villages. Second one is land ownership. Land ownership, unequal land distribution with a small percentage of landowners controlling a large portion of arable land limits access to resources for many farmers and agricultural laborers. As I said, what is the case over here? Ownership, very few percentage of the people are having ownership, whereas other majority of the population are not having the ownership. So what are they doing? There is unequal distribution of the land. Second is lack of education and skills. Now many children, especially in rural areas, lack access to quality education, hindering their ability to acquire skills and find decent employment. And inadequate skill development is a case where the education system often fails to provide relevant vocational training, leading a large segment of the population ill equipped for the job market. Next one is unemployment and underemployment. Unemployment is a case wherein there is job scarcity, where lack of sufficient job opportunities, particularly in rural areas, forces many individuals into low paying informal jobs or unemployment. So there is less amount of job available to the people who are hunting for job. And the underemployment means even when employed, many workers, especially in the informal sector, earn wages below the minimum wage, making it difficult to escape poverty. Now, we might have seen there are maushis or maids working in the schools, Now they work for 12 hours. That is maybe from morning 6 to evening 6. Or you can say maybe they are working from morning 7 o'clock to evening 5 o'clock. But what is the amount they are paid? They are paid wages, and they are paid a less amount of money. They are not given salary or wages as per their work which they do. They are commonly given one amount, and they are continuously working without break for the whole day. So, which is a cause of poverty and is a good example of low wages. Next one is social exclusion, caste discrimination. Discrimination based on caste can limit access to education, employment, and social services for marginalized communities. So, what is happening? There is caste discrimination. There is, we might have heard that in many olden films or any patriotic films and all, they say that the backward class people were not allowed to be educated and all. So that is example of caste discrimination. And what about gender inequality? Gender inequality is a case wherein it is targeted mostly on women, where women often face discrimination in employment, property, ownership, and access to resources, contributing to their higher vulnerability to poverty. So, we might have heard, maybe in the olden days, you all might have heard from your grandmas or somebody saying that in the olden days, girls were not allowed to take education, girls were not allowed to go to work and all. So, that is example of gender inequality. Next one is natural disaster. Natural disaster is a case wherein any natural calamity is happening. For example, earthquake, or we can say any flood is taking place. Any disaster, that is any problem that is created by the nature, is called as natural disaster. Now we can say that India is prone to natural disasters like floods, drought, and cyclones, which can devastate livelihood and push people into poverty. Now, earlier, what happened? Everybody were living their life peacefully. Suddenly, lockdown came. So, because of lockdown, what happened? Those people who were earning good, who are working in the offices, what they did, they were doing work from home, they were having nice time with their family and all. But what about the vegetable vendor or any street vendors? They couldn't survive the calamity. So, what happened? Because of that, many people lost their jobs and were pushed to poverty. Limited resilience. Lack of adequate infrastructure and disaster preparedness can accelerate the impact of natural disasters on vulnerable communities. Let us move forward. Life in slums. The 6.5 crore live in India's slums, over 1 crore each in Maharashtra, Andhra, as per 2011 census. So you can see the census here. Highest slum population. See, in Maharashtra, there are highest slum population of 118 lakh. Next is Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is having 102 lakh, whereas West Bengal is having 64 lakh. Uttar Pradesh is having 62, Tamil Nadu is having 58, Madhya Pradesh 57, Karnataka 33, Rajasthan 21, Chhattisgarh 19, Delhi 18. So this is the census which is provided in the year 2011 as per the census. This is the chart which is provided. Now let us understand what is about garbage. There are many problems that are plaguing the slums. For example, garbage and filth. We could see dumps of garbage everywhere. The dumped waste emanate a foul odor, at the same time becomes breeding ground for flies and mosquitoes, which carry several diseases with them. Also, children were playing near the garbage dumps, obliviously of the fact that they may get infected with some fatal disease. Being the rainy season, there was a standing water everywhere, spreading all kinds of waterborne diseases. So, because of this garbage, what is happening? Garbage is left unclean. or the smell, the bad odor coming from the garbage is creating a big health issue to everybody around. Miserable toilets. The community toilets were in pathetic condition. See, now in our house we are having one toilet or two toilet for our family. But what about in the slum? In the slum area, it is not possible that every house will be having toilet. Mostly what they do not keep a toilet for each house, but individually what they do is they they build toilets in a common place so that every person can use that. Now, if every person is using, just imagine it will be how much difficult to maintain the cleanliness, how much difficult it would be to maintain it, to keep it clean. So, this is one more reason where the toilets are unclean, and because of that, many diseases take place. And the condition of the toilet, some toilets may not be having doors, some may be not having latches, some may be not having proper water, and this is because of this what is going to happen, it is going to create more problem. Next one is deplorable condition of school. KIB team was upheld by the condition of the local municipality school as there was no water and electricity in the school, toilet was not working, and class furniture including fans were in shambles. Small kids were drenched in their sweat while trying to study as if it was possible. So now what happened? The condition of the school is not at all good. Fans are not working, the toilets are not clean, there is no electricity, there is no water, which is one of the reason we can say which is leading to poverty in education. Public park. The public park is a kind of dump yard. It is having all garbage inside it, and what is happening, all the rubbish is thrown by the children or whoever, the people who are sitting over there, they just sit, they just spit over there, they just throw anything, they do not take care of the park properly. Next one is cramped houses. Cramped houses means it's difficult to even imagine the living condition of the house there unless and until you are actually experiences this nightmare. 6 to 8 people share a cramped room, and only they know as to how so many people fit in such a small room. The streets are narrow and the sewage water stagnates in open surface drains, which emit bad smell. So, can you imagine of staying in a cramped house? A cramped house is a house which is very small and there are many people living over there. Just a few hours in those slums made us feel suffocated and nauseated. So, have you ever heard about slums? Now, in the explanation, I just gave you all a gist of how slums are there. Just check out with your parents or somebody, your parents or grandfathers, grandparents, and all, who in the olden days who came to Mumbai, who were living in the slums. Just sit and discuss with them how was the lifestyle in the olden days of slums. We were imagining how anyone could spend their whole life there, which was the case with majority of them. As a nation, we talk about Clean India Mission, Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, but how it could be achieved when a huge proportion of our country continues to live in such inhuman condition? Or are we just trying to cover the reality that the worst side does exist? Let us move forward. Impact of poverty. Poverty has far reaching and devastating impact on individual societies and economies. Here's a detailed look at some of the key consequences. Let us learn about the key impact of poverty. First one is health. Health, it comprises of three important things, that is malnutrition, increased susceptibility to disease, and shorter life expectancy. What is malnutrition? Lack of access to nutritious food. It is found in children. This can cause stunted growth, weakened immune system, and increased susceptibility to disease. So, because of this, children have a problem in their growth, in their immune system, and in the they cannot, they are very prone to any disease. Increased susceptibility to disease. Poor living conditions, lack of sanitation, and limited access to healthcare contribute to higher rates of infectious disease such as tuberculosis, malaria, and diarrhea. So, because of lack of sanitation, what is going to happen? There are many diseases which will take place, like tuberculosis, malaria, and diarrhea. Shorter life expectancy, poverty is directly linked to shorter life expectancy, means their lifespan will decrease. They are not having proper food to eat, they are not having proper health, and they are not having clean water to drink. So what is going to happen? Their life expectancy also will reduce. Poverty is directly linked to shorter life expectancy due to poor health outcome, increased mortality rates, and limited access to quality healthcare. Let us understand about education. Education, as I discussed earlier, it is limited access. There is limited access to quality of education, wherein poverty often forces children to drop out from school to work. Because of poverty, they do not study. Many people, they do not send their children to study. They send the children to work. So because of this, what is happening? Because of this, it is not possible for the government to succeed in giving quality education to the students. Next is lower literacy rates. Limited access to quality education leads to lower literacy rates among the poor, hindering their ability to find decent employment and improve their livelihoods. Reduced opportunity. There is lack of education limit individual skills and knowledge, reducing their opportunities for economic and social advancement. Social issues. What are social issues? Increased crime rates. Now, we might have heard that there are many there are great increase in the crime rates. For example, robbery, theft, or any scam. We can say the different names of crime. Because of this, what is happening? Poverty can increase the likelihood of individuals resorting to criminal activities. Now, if a person is not getting, we must have seen in the movies and all what they say, I didn't have food to eat. That is why I started robbing. That is why I started doing this and that. So, that is also a cause of poverty. Because of poverty, only people are doing wrong things. Social unrest, poverty, and inequality can create a social unrest and tensions within our societies as marginalized communities may feel excluded and disenfranchised. Social inequality, poverty perpetuates social inequality, creating a cycle of disadvantage that is difficult to break. Last one is economic growth. Economic growth means what? Because of this, because of poverty, how much is our economic growth getting affected? Poor health, limited education, and lack of skills among the poor reduce their productivity and earning potential. Now, a person is not able to make out for his daily livelihood. Then, how will he how will he provide a contribution for the economic growth? And limited consumer spending. Now, he's not having anything to eat, then what is he going to spend? High levels of poverty can lead to increased income inequality, which can stifle economic growth and create social instability. Next is government initiatives to address poverty. Let us understand this. How is government contributing to overcome poverty? First one is National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. It focuses it focuses on providing 100 days of guaranteed wage employment to rural households in India. And what is the impact? It generates income for rural household, especially during lean agricultural seasons. So when there are off seasons, when there is no harvesting or anything is done, they it is very useful for the farmers, wherein they are totally dependent on the farming activity. If suppose they are not able to cultivate anything, once the crops are cultivated, they just leave the land to become fertile. So now what will they do till the land is ready? They cannot be hungry, or they cannot just stop living their life. So government has come up with this good initiative. It creates rural infrastructure like roads, canals, and water conservation structures. empowers rural households, particularly women, by giving them a legal right to work. Next one is midday meal scheme. This is a very good scheme which provides free cooked meals to school children in government schools. So the school is providing midday meal, that is they provide the lunch to the students who are studying in government school, so that children get good education also and children get nutritious food also. Improve school attendance and enrollment. Because of this, what is going to happen, all the students will be present, and the children coming from marginalized communities, even they are not left backward. Encourage parents to send their children to school. Now what is going to happen, because of midday meal, many parents they tend to send their students to their children to the school. Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana. What is this? This is going to focus on financial inclusion by providing basic banking accounts to all households, especially those in the unbanked and underbanked segments of society. The impact is that it is facilitating direct benefit transfer of government subsidies and social security scheme. It encourages saving and promotes access to credit for the poor, reduces the dependence on informal and exploitative credit sources. Now, what are they doing? They are, and the government has come up with this yojana wherein they provide bank account to every citizen. They help, they encourage savings, and they promote access to credit, wherein the people are not forced to take money from any money lender, rather than they can go and visit the bank for the help in case of any credit issues. Other key initiatives. Now government has come up with Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which aims to provide affordable housing to all by 22. This includes both rural and urban housing schemes. Deen Dayal Antyodaya Yojana National Rural Livelihoods Mission, that is DAY NRLM, focuses on empowering rural women through the formation of self-help groups to promote economic self-reliance. Skill development programs. Various programs like Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana aim to enhance the employability of youth by providing them with relevant skills and training. Let us move forward. Let us understand the role of individuals and society to overcome poverty. Now, poverty cannot be overcome by one person itself. Everybody has to play their part. Let it be individuals, let it be society, or let it be the government. First is education and awareness. Understanding poverty. Now, the awareness should be created among the people, that what is poverty and how are they supposed to overcome that. Educating the public about the causes, consequences, and complexity of poverty is known as understanding poverty. And breaking this cycle, how can we break this cycle? Education empowers individual to break the cycle of poverty by equipping them with knowledge and skills necessary to improve their livelihood. This includes access to quality education, vocational training, and financial literacy. Voluntary, second one is voluntary and philanthropy. What is voluntary and philanthropy? It is nothing but community involvement and charitable giving. Community involvement means volunteering time and resources to support local organizations and initiatives that address poverty can make a significant difference. This can involve mentoring underprivileged youth, providing tutoring services, or participating in community developmental projects. For example, we must have heard that there are many NGOs who go to interior parts of the villages or rural villages, and they teach basic ABCD, basic educational things to the students and elderly people, so that they have the knowledge of reading and writing. Charitable giving is something wherein we are providing money for charity, donating to reputed charities which provide needed resources to those in need. Next one is sustainable consumption. It is nothing but ethical consumption. It is divided into two parts, that is ethical consumption and reducing environmental impact. Sustainable consumption means a case wherein we can survive the consumption. So ethical consumption means choosing to support fair trade products and business that prioritize ethical and sustainable products, which can help to reduce poverty and promote social justice. Fair trade ensures that producers often in developing countries receive fair prices for their goods, improving their livelihoods. So what is going to happen here in case of fair trade? The producers are getting fair price for their products, and also the consumers are getting proper price for what they are buying, reducing environmental impact. It includes reducing waste, conserving energy, and supporting environmentally friendly products can help to mitigate the impact of environmental degradation on vulnerable communities. So I conclude that individuals and society have a vital role to play in overcoming poverty. By promoting education and awareness, engaging in volunteer work and philanthropy, and adopting sustainable consumption practices, we can contribute to a more equitable and just world where everyone has the opportunity to live in. So, thank you so much for watching this video. I will soon come back with another good, interesting video.